Good afternoon, folks. How we doing? We're about to get started here in just a second. I just want to make a couple announcements. Our next Kindred Spirits will be Monday, October 30th. This one talks about impact of textbook cost and OER on campus and DEI and social justice initiatives. This one will be given up by Amanda Langdon. So put that on your calendars. We have amazing events on your calendars. This is just a 2-minute warning. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. So if you hear me in the cafeteria, 2 more minutes, and then we'll get started. Sound Gucci? Dope. Good afternoon. Welcome to Kindred Spirits. My name is Vince Alcon. My pronouns are he, him, they. I work with the Core Center and also representing the Equity Board this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This will be an amazing conversation about pronouns and things of that nature. We have a student panel for you, so think of those questions there. This is in conjunction with our Queer Pride at ASU. I'll let them introduce themselves, so please give them a round of applause. ASU Queer Pride.
Hello, everybody. I guess I gotta get closer to this thing. My name's Charlie. A lot of you know me. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the current faculty advisor for Queer Pride at ASU, our Queer Pride Club here on campus. I also work in the Office of Inclusive Excellence, so that's me. First, before we get started on the presentation, I'll go through and let these guys introduce themselves, let you guys know their pronouns, and we'll get started.
Hey, my name is Stella. My pronouns are they, she, him, her, whatever it is. I don't care, as long as you're not trying to box me in with pronouns. And I am Queer Pride, ASU's ASNF representative, and I am also a mentor on campus, so yeah.
Okay, dokes. So my name's Riley. I go by he, him pronouns. I am so far just a member of Pride Queer Club. Maybe secretary soon. So yeah, please enjoy today.
All right, so International Pronouns Day. So before we get super into it, I have a couple QR codes up here. Definitely let me know if you're interested on seeing them again. I can make them back up here. So the first one over here is going to be, let's see if I can figure out this guy. This one here is going to be our link tree. It has access to our social media pages and contact information, stuff for the club. So that'll have a bunch of information on it. And then this one over here is for donations. If you are interested in donating, that would be awesome. So International Pronouns Day. So the reason we celebrate something like International Pronouns Day is because for queer people specifically, pronouns can be a very vital part of our identity and how we express ourselves to other people, how other people see us. I know there's a lot of writing up here, but that's what it takes to talk about pronouns. Before we get too into the discussion of pronouns, I'm going to show this little video here, if we would get that started. Sorry guys, take just a second. If you can't see it, the little title says it starts as jokes, then it turns into bills that harm trans people. It's a great video from TikTok. It's what we call transcore. It's a little fun video, but it also talks about some serious topics. There we go. Perfect.
Stage 3 of being a girl. No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and cocks. They're as good as...
You said that you're a trans woman.
A trans female, yes, ma'am, sir.
Do you have a penis?
I'm not into all the other bullshit. I think
What other bullshit?
the they and them.
Yeah.
And all that extra shit that we added during the pandemic because everyone was so bored in their fucking houses. They just started to make up more shit and more shit.
Stuff, more.
But if I don't know whether you're male or female, what the hell should I do with you?
Gender ideology is an assault on truth.
Are we mainstreaming delusion?
It's not delusion.
Why would you call it delusion? Because
I don't believe that you can feel any other emotion than hate.
Under Section 35 of the Scotland Act 1998, preventing the Gender Recognition Reform Scotland Bill from proceeding to royal assent.
I've got some bad news for you. Parents with children who have gender dysphoria have lost children to suicide and depression.
Why are you attacking me? My first visit to the Capitol should have been on a school field trip, not defending my right to exist.
Over the last few years, I have emailed Britain's national healthcare provider 133 times trying to get a doctor's appointment.
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
Brianna Jai was found with multiple stab wounds at a park in a village in Colchester on Saturday afternoon.
So what? You want to be a girl? Every part of my being craves to be seen and heard and understood and thought of and considered a woman. Every morsel of my body craves for people to look at me and see a woman. But that doesn't mean that's what I want. That just means that's what I need. I need to be a woman to be happy.
Biological sex is a fact. It's a reality. But so too is gender identity. Both are real.
You hated black people, then you hated Jews. Now you're hating everybody. So the question is, with this
The only people left are you when you hate yourself. Power concedes nothing. This house is for the people, by the people, to serve the people, and you won't listen. You go after everybody's kids but your own. You make hate.
We can see through this veneer of legislation and assess the intended target. The continued marginalization and othering of the LGBTQIA+ community. Rhetoric intended to strike fear into the hearts of the people of this state. I will not sit here and debate your fascist ideology, as peddlers of intolerance deserve no such stage on a public forum. I will not appear to the notions of tax base, of jobs, or business growth in this state. They are inconsequential of the recognition of the basic rights of your fellow human.
Thank you for your testimony.
The bill is 2 seconds away from the outdated, discriminatory 3 articles laws of the 20th century, and I will not stand for it. We will not stand for it. We may not win today, and we may not win tomorrow, but we will persist as we always have in the fight of your oppression. If you wish to eradicate genderism from the public life, as members of your party have said, to quote a hero of yours, you can pry that from my cold, dead hands.
Yeah, so I love that video. It gives me goosebumps. But the part I think we definitely should talk about is that one little TikTok snippet of the trans woman who was saying that every morsel of my being craves to be seen as a woman or as a man or whatever you know your transgender identity would be. And I feel like that's really, like, when I first saw it, I was like, throwing snaps, because I was like, this is exactly what it feels like, but we can't really put it into words. But I feel like that's a good one, at least for the topic of pronouns as we go on, because genuinely our pronouns are the way we want to be perceived by other people. If you are cisgender and you use your assigned pronouns based on your assigned sex at birth, then that's how you personally want to be seen by other people. We use pronouns for other people. I don't have they, them pronouns because I'm going to use they, them pronouns. I have they, them pronouns because you are going to use my they, them pronouns. So that's a super important part to talk about when you're talking about pronouns. So then what are pronouns? That's basically the whole question. Pronouns are identifiers. They're he, him, she, her, they, them, combinations of those three. They could also be neopronouns, so I include a little bit on neopronouns, but I'm not super educated in neopronouns, so I'm not going to talk too much on it. But neopronouns are just people's preferred pronouns. Sometimes they're, neopronouns that have already been made. Sometimes they're neopronouns that people make up for themselves. But neopronouns are just that. They're still pronouns. They're still ways that people want to be identified. And then we talked about this with our last presentation, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but sex does not equal gender. Just because somebody's sexual identity is one thing does not mean that their gender identity is going to be that same thing. So it's always good never to assume, never to, say, oh, well, you look like a woman, so you must be a woman, or you look like a man, so you must be a man, because that's not always true. And just because we identify and express ourselves, which I put on here as well, that our gender expression is also not our gender identity. So we can express ourselves, in ways that you might say are more masculine or more feminine, but that doesn't always mean that those are our pronouns or our gender identity. And then another topic I wanted to kind of throw into this was people's preferred names. So it is mostly within the queer community, transgender people who were born with one name and use a different name. We call that a dead name. So I'll talk about that a little bit. But also there are cisgender people who use names that aren't their preferred name or aren't their legal name. And we should always respect that. Just like we would respect it with our cisgender friends or whatever, we should also do the same with our transgender students, friends, whatever. And sometimes that means asking, sometimes that means, not knowing at first. Sometimes you're in the middle of somebody's transition, so that, it's a process to go through. But dead naming is also a big one I wanted to talk about here today, because I feel like they kind of go together, your pronouns and your preferred name, especially for trans people and genderqueer people, because again, our name is what we want everybody else to see. They're, I am Charlie. I want you to know me as Charlie, not my dead name. So that's another great example. You can kind of clump them together when you're talking more about how can we help recognize people's pronouns. It's kind of the same process. We'll talk more about that later, though. Anything you guys would like to add on what what is pronouns? Go ahead.
So coming from personal experience, because I go by Stella, and Stella is actually my preferred name. My real name, see, real, we're using terms here, so it's actually, we're gonna say legal name. It's my government name, you know, it's my whatever you wanna call it, but my legal name is Susanna, and throughout my life, I have had negative experiences with people calling me that. My family calls me by a nickname, and just generally, there's been no reason that I've made a super large connection with that name. And Stella, going by Stella, being Stella, has allowed me to grow not only into a different person, but also given me room to grow. It's as if, like, kind of breaking out of, you know, that shell that caterpillars break out of to become butterflies and shit. You know, that's what it feels like for me personally to use my preferred name over my dead name. So coming from personal experience. And also on pronouns, as Charlie mentioned, and I'm gonna bring up, when I introduced myself earlier, I said to you all, I wanna be called by they, them, she, her, he, him. And that might confuse you, but the whole purpose of that is because I don't want to be boxed in with pronouns. I don't want someone to immediately look at me and assume that I am under this label or this umbrella or anything. I would prefer that people come to ask me, you know, about what labels that I identify with personally. So yeah, that's part of it. And that's what I have to say on pronouns and dead names for now. So Charlie, I could just pass this back.
So, on top of what are pronouns, they're important because, well, it's who we are. As a genderqueer person, it can be a very uncomfortable situation to be dead named or to be misgendered. So, we always talk about like inclusivity and things like that. And of course, everybody uses pronouns, everybody. So you should always ask everybody's pronouns, regardless if you think they use, their cisgendered assigned pronouns or if they use different pronouns. But for genderqueer people specifically, every time we share our pronouns, we're coming out as genderqueer. Every time I say I use they, them pronouns instead of a, binary pronoun, I'm telling you that I'm non-binary. And that's not a very easy experience to go through every day with, there's probably 50 people in this room. So, even these guys too, like every time we share our pronouns as a genderqueer person, it's an opportunity for us to come out to you. We talk about coming out as, you come out one time, you come out to your parents, you come out to your friends, whatever, when you're in high school, whatever, but that's not true. We come out every single day. Every time I meet somebody new and I tell them my preferred pronoun and my preferred name, I'm coming out to that person. And that's just the fact of life, and it's a hard topic to talk about. We actually just passed National Coming Out Day. So, huge month. Actually, this month is LGBTQ History Month as well. So huge month for our conversations, but it's a very challenging experience for queer people. Yeah, and yeah, go ahead.
So every time someone comes out, it creates this really amazing, beautiful opportunity to have some shared vulnerability, or just respect someone else's vulnerability. But on the other side of things, it also creates an opportunity where someone can realize they're not in a safe space. And that hits really, really hard, to feel like you're not an acceptable form as a person in a space. And that's all about how people perceive you and stuff. So coming out is extremely hard, because you're not only creating that opportunity for a shared safe space, and like more vulnerability, but you're also risking that exposing yourself to people who aren't going to encourage you to be who you are. And that really hurts a lot of times. And it's really hard to expose different parts of yourself to people who may reject your pronouns and such afterwards. It's like a whole, a boulder rolling down a hill or a snowball rolling down a hill. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. There are more and more things that you can't share with people when they don't respect who you are and your gender identity.
Yeah, I included a little part of that here, that it can expose that individual to a forced outing, unfortunately, because sometimes we don't want to share our pronouns with people, but we have to, otherwise we get misgendered. Or that person can, have some violent rhetoric or, ideas that don't align with our quote unquote lifestyle. So it's definitely a dangerous situation every time anybody, and you know, they seem so easy, right? Like, oh, we all share our pronouns, they're on my email, they're on, you know, like we put them everywhere, it's no big deal, I've got all my pins, you know, like I'm super supporter of pronouns. But when you're gender queer, you've got to think about it a little bit different, because it's not always cut and dry. It's not always leave your pronouns on your shirt, because at Walmart, if somebody disagrees with somebody who uses, you know, non-binary pronouns, then, or, you know, somebody who does use binary pronouns but doesn't look like the binary pronoun they use, they're exposing themselves to potential violence, potential, you know, rhetoric, that kind of thing. So that's a huge part. And as a supporter of, which we'll talk about as we go on, as a supporter of pronouns and recognizing people's pronouns and preferred names, that would be kind of your place as an ally to stand up and say, hey, you know, maybe that you use the wrong pronoun for that person, or hey, why don't we ask before we start, you know, using people's pronouns, or why don't we use they, them pronouns because we don't know. Like, it's a great opportunity for people to stand up and actually, you know, talk about pronouns a little bit more instead of just being like, oh, you know, they or whatever, like making it just a subtle little comment.
Whatever. I hear a lot of people say, like, when they get frustrated with people's pronouns and just trying to remember individuals, I hear a lot of they or whatever. And I'm going to tell you right now, whatever is not a pronoun and does not feel good. And yeah, so, but also I wanted to mention and tack on to what Charlie said earlier about emails. We see a lot of people sharing their pronouns through their emails and having these links on the bottom of their emails, like, why do pronouns matter? I'm just going to tell you right now, on the queer side of things, I haven't put mine on the bottom of my email, and for the past 2 years that I've been here, I've thought about it like at least once every day. And sometimes I'll think about it for like hours, and it's just, I'm thinking about the consequences of my actions, if people are gonna accept me, what kind of example I'm putting on, if I wanna share that part of myself with my mentees and such, since I'm a mentor, you know, and just how people are gonna treat me differently when I first email them, if that's on the bottom of that email. It's a really hard thing to talk about, think about, or discuss, and to do, honestly.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of a little intro to that, but of course it's a lot bigger than this, so it's bigger than that. But International Pronouns Day, so we celebrate it to recognize people's pronouns and to recognize that genderqueer people have pronouns and, you know, the whole shebang. I included some of these more common gender symbols, if you will. Of course, we see the man and the woman, but here's non-binary and transgender, just to kind of, you know, open up your repertoire to that kind of thing. So International Pronouns Day, we use the hashtag Pronouns Day. It's the third Wednesday in October, so every October, the third Wednesday will be International Pronouns Day. So today is not International Pronouns Day, but Wednesday is International Pronouns Day. So I kind of challenge you all to, you know, start to recognize people's pronouns, think about people you don't know in your life and their pronouns. I have some pronoun pins up here on the top I want everybody to take. We have some gender inclusive pronoun pins, some pins that say, you're safe with me. I handed a couple of them out, but they're just to say, you know, I'm a safe person to go to. I have some pronoun pins up here that you can write your own pronouns in as well. So for people who are a little bit more gender fluid, but super awesome, different kinds of varieties. A couple neo-pronouns as well, so definitely come up and get your free pronoun pins. They're all free, take them. But yeah, so one day can turn into a lifetime. You can say, oh, today's International Pronouns Day. You know, I'm going to ask my homies their pronouns. That can turn into every day. It doesn't have to just be on International Pronouns Day, because for genderqueer people, it's not just International Pronouns Day, it's every day. So a little bit of information on that. This is another big one, but these are just some ideas on how we can help recognize people's pronouns and preferred names. We talked about some of them. Displaying your pronoun pins publicly, daily. It's not about, you know, putting them on your backpack because you think it looks cool. It's about wearing it on your shirt every day so people can know automatically without having to ask. Putting it in your emails, your social media, any kind of online, like electronic communication, text messages, voicemails, whatever. Just as soon as you introduce yourself to somebody, say your pronouns. Asking people their pronouns if you don't know their pronouns, using gender-neutral pronouns when you don't know somebody's pronouns. So if you do, like for example, for Stella's pronouns, if you're like, that's a little bit much, I don't know what's going on, use a good gender-neutral pronoun. That's always a save. Or ask, absolutely. Asking is the obviously number one thing you should do. And then sharing your own pronouns too, so that those people feel more comfortable sharing their pronouns with you. Being understanding, so genderqueer people are outed, we know that, so just be understanding of those experiences. Practice, write a letter, write a email. You can email me if you want to and practice use my pronouns. I don't care, but practice, even just saying it in your head. I misgender myself sometimes, so I have to be like, nope, that's not it. This is what's up. So just practice is a great way to do it. If you mess up, just move on. Just apologize and move on. Don't make it a big scene. Don't make it a, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, what do I do with myself? Just move on. It's okay. Yeah, and just ask people, like, it's not our job to tell you what our pronouns are, it's your job to recognize our pronouns. Of course, we will tell you what our pronouns are, and not everybody's comfortable sharing their pronouns, so it's always good to ask. This is like, asking is the biggest thing you can do. It doesn't matter who it is, even if it's just your homies that you've already known for a long time. Just ask, always ask. And then don't assume pronouns, we talked about that. Correct people who use incorrect pronouns. So if somebody's talking about me and they use the wrong pronoun, be like, oh no, actually Charlie uses they, them pronouns. And then move on, because it's not a big deal. The less big of a deal we make it, the better, which kind of goes into this one. Integrate your pronouns into small talk. So when you're meeting somebody for the first time, hi, my name's Charlie, I use they, them pronouns, what about you? And that's it, that's all it has to be. Just like if you were asking somebody's career, just like if you were asking somebody's favorite color, whatever it is, just, it's a normal conversation to have and we need to normalize it more. Since we're running out of time, I'm gonna move on. So I have this little interactive piece to kind of give everybody a little bit of a break. I know we're kind of low on time, but go ahead and do it. So just to your table, to a buddy, to whoever, you can come and talk to me if you want. Practice this. Just say, hi, my name's blah, 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 and my pronouns are blah, blah, blah. And then you can share something that they don't know about you. You can share your job position. You can share whatever you'd like. I'm Stella. My name's Stella. Oh my God. That's why I'm teaching you. We had like 4 people. You have a what? Size 15. Oh, damn, that's huge. Oh, right. That's true. Your name's she, her pronoun. That's what it sounded like. What did you say? That's a good one.
Yeah, I use it for telemarketers, you know. When they call, I'm just like, hello, Kimarashi, Bakumata.
Yeah, that's what we need, a sash and pronoun pins. time we looking at? Oh, we're good. Yeah, it helped. It did. All righty. I hope everybody learned something new about their colleagues because that's my favorite part of this. We all know each other's pronouns probably by now, but to learn something new is always fun. But was it easy? Yeah, it was super easy, right? And that's all it takes. I mean, we took not even 5 minutes and everybody shared their pronouns. Like, that's how awesome it is to just share your pronouns. It's so easy. You know, if it were hard, I'd tell you it was hard, but it's not. It's easy. And it's important because even as cisgendered people, we still want to be recognized as the identity that we have. And I think that's beautiful. I think we should all be able to identify exactly how we want to, and you know, everybody respect our pronouns that way. So it's just I know we probably sat with people we know, so it was a little bit more fun than, you know, a serious example. But you know, first time you're meeting your doctor for the first time, the first time you meet a colleague who's just gotten hired, the first time you meet anybody. It could be somebody at Walmart who's asking you for some help. Like, it doesn't matter. We're meeting people, and we want those people to see us as who we are, so share your pronouns. It's that easy. It's literally that easy.
So if you are a cis hetero person, you go by the pronouns that you were given at birth and such, you actually do have opportunities to create safe spaces for queer people to express their pronouns before they even go to express their pronouns. And you can do this by sharing your pronouns first because, you know, it's something oftentimes that cis hetero people are very comfortable with. You know, they've had their whole life to get comfortable with it. And, you know, if you know who you are, you know who you are. And society, and if especially society accepts the perception of yourself that you have very easily and on a federal level too, you know, you have a little bit of pull there. So expressing your gender pronouns first as a cis hetero person in a room can create a safe space for queer people or people with just different pronouns to start expressing their pronouns and feel like they're in a safe space. So you don't always have to wait for that opportunity to be had. Like I said earlier, every time we express our pronouns, we're creating an opportunity to either have a safe space that's been created and shared vulnerability, or something much worse, as you all already may know. So again, just as cis hetero people, sometimes you can create these opportunities to make safe spaces before it's even a thing that we need to talk about yet, you know? And that can actually be extremely helpful, so just so you know. You know, the work you do when you do express your pronouns actually does help.
Cool. Hello. Okay. The reason why we're pestering you guys during lunch for this whole pronoun thing, I know, but is because for most of the transgender community that I represent, it's really important for us. It's a way to actually express ourselves because I do not look like a guy right now. I mean, I am transitioning, so you know, assuming most people would think I'm a girl, but I'm not. And for pronouns, I've even lost job opportunities just sharing my pronouns. Like during interviews, I was the one to try to facilitate, hey, I actually go by he, him, and I never got like a second callback or whatever. I mean, obviously that's not the job for me, but it's, what I'm trying to say is that it's really important for some people, and it's really just about human respect, about communication, because all of this pronoun stuff is relatively new in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the word cisgender wasn't even, it was finalized in, I think, Webster Dictionary, like 2016. And I mean, that's a little far away now, but thinking about how languages work, that's pretty new. And so I understand everybody's like slight frustration and just confusion when it comes to pronouns. I don't even know about neopronouns, but I invite everybody, especially allies, to facilitate that respect that all humans really need, because we need more respect in the world. So, yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for doing that little interactive piece. What we'll do is we'll kind of open it up to some questions. I like to take questions from you guys because I think it's important for us to have open dialogue. So here's the time for you to say, well, all that's too confusing. What do I do instead? And I'll give you the answer. So if you have any questions at all, of course, you can always reach out to us after. Our emails on all the social medias, on the Adams website and stuff like that. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to us afterward. But if anybody has any questions, so I kind of labeled it out here based on everybody's expertise, if you will. So I use gender neutral pronouns and have a dead name. Stella uses all gender pronouns, so gender fluid pronouns, and also has a dead name. And Oliver uses opposite gender pronouns. So if you're like, specifically confused about a specific topic within these, topics, definitely reach out to us based on our expertise, because I don't want to speak on something that I don't know about. I'm sure these guys also don't want to do the same. You said you had something to say real quick?
Yeah, so quick disclaimer before we start answering questions, or if you guys have any questions for us to answer. Generally, it is not queer people's job to answer your questions. So, if you have questions, don't just go, asking you deserve some sort of answer from them. First of all, the answer is going to be different from each person. Second of all, it's not our job as queer people to explain everything to cis hetero people. We're just trying to live our lives and be respected, and people just being queer doesn't mean that they're just agreeing to answer your questions and stuff. Us coming up here as a panel, we've taken time out of our days to answer your questions and be here so you can ask these, and we can take our time and energy to explain it to you. So, yeah.
But there definitely won't be all queer people who are and not all queer people know everything about queerness. So if you ask me something about neopronouns, I'm not going to know. If you ask me something about the gay man experience, I'm not going to know. So I can give you a gay man to go talk to, but I'm not going to know. So it's definitely important to ask and make sure that those people are in good positions to be able to talk about that kind of thing. Of course, as the Queer Pride Club, we've kind of designated ourselves as the campus's go-to for questions and, queer-related things. So, of course, yeah, cabinet members specifically, of course, not the members. But, so any questions anybody has? I want to answer them all.
Yeah, and you can direct specific questions.
Yeah, if you're I want to ask specifically this person. Or if you want to ask them in private, we can totally, disperse, and you guys can come up and ask instead. I know sometimes we don't want to, talk publicly about this kind of stuff. But, any questions? Yeah. I want to let you guys know if you're interested in getting information about the club, specifically more what events we have going on, fill out this QR code here. You'll get added to our contact list to get our information updates. I think it's a great way for us to be able to communicate with you guys about the different events we have going on. We have a spooky movie night coming up on the 25th. I will put obviously more information out there, but come see that. We've got some door prizes, popcorn, candy. We're partnering with SLV Pride, so yes, in the Core Center, super comfy. Wear your PJs, bring your pillows and blankets. We're going to watch Bodies, 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 the A24 film. Super gay, so should be a great experience. Yeah. So definitely come out to that. And then we have the Trunk or Treat also coming up, which people should go to anyway, but we will be having a booth there, so definitely come get some candy. Yes, we're going to decorate. We're going to have so much fun. We work really hard on these events, so please, if you're interested, fill out this QR code because we definitely want you guys to know what's going on with the club. But if nobody has any questions, I will call it wrapped. So we'll be up here for a little bit. Come get your pronoun pins, please. And thank you, guys. See, I have my sources, no references, but we'll leave this up here. Come get your pronoun pins, please, please, please.
Let's give it up one more time for Queer Pride.